whole world in her hand. She's got the whole. Oh, hello there. Hey guys, what's going on? Memes here. And let's just roll this beautiful bean footage. Oh, what's this? A Kugel Ball?
If there was no friction, it would just
What?
come right off, right?
Whoa. That's a very big ball.
So it weighs 2.5 tons.
That's a very heavy
Wow.
ball. Relative to us. It's a pretty dense rock, they say.
Exactly how evenly spaced out the waves are in front of it.
Whoa, I totally got the thumbnail from this. Now, what the heck does a Kugel ball, a heavy rock, and some fluid have to do with anything we're looking to talk about? We conjecture ahead.
Although this is going to be weird, and it's going to be about a different.
Title of the conference was something like "Ground Truth" or "Turtles All the Way Down," and so it seems as though there's one Ruliad. I don't think it rules them all, and it might be just hyper-rulial turtles all the way down.
Yes, it's on the back of an infinite number of hyperrulial turtles.
Various people are commenting on the outrage of hacking the universe on a MacBook Air.
Welcome everyone now and temporally in the future. I'm the current host of this channel, The Memes of Destruction. And basically this video kind of got me to thinking something that's been in my head for a little while, but it really became instantiated when Professor Sean Carroll had a recent guest. I believe Dr. Chiara Mingarelli on. And she had some words when she was describing black holes. Continue, Dr. Mingarelli.
Ask the black hole-oriented guests, how do you define black hole? What do you think about? It'll be different for a quantum gravity person than an astronomer, I presume.
Yeah, so that's a great question. When I think about black holes, I think about water coming out of a water fountain. Okay, and I think about the water going up and then falling back in itself. And that a black hole is going to be some sort of ultra compact object, although formally mathematically it's a singularity, this point of infinite curvature of space-time, whatever that means. Right. In my mind's eye and in my heart, I feel like a black hole is actually a thing. It's probably a very small thing.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Dr. Mingarelli. So basically what I kind of got from that is I was looking for something else. And when I found the Kugel fountain, imagine rather than it coming up from below, we're going to get into the diagram in just a second here. It's emanating from the top, let's say. Let's just say, hypothetically, if you happen to have some particular geometric object that, and again, hypothetically, if you had a way to avoid actually getting an actual singularity, because the generalized black hole thing, especially when you're doing the Schwarzschild metric, and basically you're doing the calculation, here's a perfectly spherical thing of gas. Gravity comes in, and then boom, you have a black hole. I'm like, okay. It's basically an infinitesimally small point, some people claim, of infinite density. I'm like, I just thought it would invert and basically do something like it. That's what I thought as kind of like a little kid when people started telling me that. I'm like, okay, infinity. Is there any way we can get rid of potential infinities? There was only an object that had been under study that we could probably work with. Now, again, I'm not saying that this is essentially how a black hole works, but it'd be pretty rad. Essentially, there technically is a singular point. It's the 0, point, right where that kind of knot goes around. And then you cycle through, you go through, and then rather than hitting that point, you basically go around it in a highly complex articulating manner. And you go out again. That's essentially the basis for what I've been conjecturing, and Jen has totally been helping me with eternal cyclic cosmology based upon Thad Roberts' work in Source Code 7 and 44 Derangements and the persistence, in the shape of persistence. Oh God, I forgot to put Thad's book again. These things happen. But we're going to go back over to some other stuff and things here to just kind of go over this and see what we might make of it. Shall we? Oh, we shall. Oh, I need to do the right thing. Okay, here we go. Boom. All right. So we go over to our friends here. Thank you, Professor Carroll. The Kugel Fountain. A Kugel Fountain, also called floating sphere fountain, or by the pleonasmic name Kugel Ball. Pleonasmic mean. Pleonasm is redundancy in linguistic expression, such as black darkness or burning fire. It's a manifestation of tautology by traditional rhetorical criteria. Oh, it's kind of like jumbo shrimp, except instead of dividing, you're multiplying. You're basically raising it to another power by a similar word. Okay, that's a meta conjecture there. But is a water feature or sculpture where a sphere sits in a fitted hollow on a pedestal and is supported by aquaplaning it on a thin film of water. Pressurized water flows between the sphere and socket, creating mechanical hydrostatic bearing that is nearly frictionless. That's pretty cool. The sphere can weigh thousands of kilograms, but the efficiency bearing allows it to be spun by the force of a hand. The sphere does not float, being denser than water. It's often made from granite. Shout out to the great state of New Hampshire, the granite state. Apparently, the man in the mountain, he got an unintentional facelift. It's very sad. Yeah. But the hydraulics of the fountain can be controlled so that the axis of rotation of the sphere changes continually. Oh. So yeah, basically they keep on going into it. They have the locations there. I thought that was fascinating, but okay. Take a real quick look here. Okay, so what do you have? You got a big ball of mass. Okay, what's going on? You got your little motor here. What that's doing, that's sucking in the water from there. That's directing it up here. So it goes out. So this reminds me, oh God, what was it? Scott Manley or one of the kind of those science channels with like the very pleasant person. They basically were showing if you have, it basically was two discs and they were really smooth, like wickedly smooth. So much so that like once you spun it, it would keep on spinning and spinning for a while because essentially there's a pocket of air down there and it basically kept them from touching. Normally that doesn't really happen because it's like, yeah, we got things that are kind of smooth, but how smooth actually is it? Do we notice? Is it something that we happen to have machine precision that we can get down to a very particular smoothness? Apparently, smoothness is very important within geometry. These are just some things I learned. Okay. Kugel Ball nature, hydrodynamics, mathematics, design. The links are in the doobly-doo. But proving that the Kugel Ball is a hydrosphere, deriving the equations predicting its performance. New optimal design technique for designing the conventional Kugel Ball. Comparison with previous unconventional one. Comparison with actual cases. The Kugel Fountain, where a sphere sits in a fitted socket fed by a thin film of pressurized water flowing between the sphere and the socket, was treated as a bearing without referring to any mathematical or practical evidence that can support this idea. And so in this study, the hydrodynamics of the sculpture will be handled to support the idea of treating the fountain as a bearing and to prove that it is a hydrostatic thrust spherical bearing, starting with the continuity and continuity and Navier-Stokes equations, the pressure gradient formula, has been derived in turn. The force or the load carrying capacity, flow rate, frictional torque, rotational torque, and spinning speed formula have also been derived. A new simple optimal design with an explanatory example has been offered. In addition, the mentions of some true cases have been checked and compared with the results got by the new design technique. That sounds pretty cool. Welcome, T-Car. Dude, that was literally like one of the greatest things somebody said to me all month. It's like, oh, essentially, to mimetically reduce, it's like, this channel helps get my noggin a jogging. Thank you. That's essentially the goal. But yeah, we go through. I wasn't able to. I'm still learning Wolfram Alpha. Basically, I just want to start to plug some of this in. Basically, if you Wolfram Alpha and you go to like the Kugel fountain, it has a cool picture and everything. So they got a lot of different things here, and you can kind of see what's going on. It's like, oh, I see some thetas in there. They get some angles, rotation. I just know that at least the HF8 complement, apparently, according to Professor Segeman, generates some rotation. Now, again, I haven't read through all this. I literally just skimmed looking for cool pictures and stuff. But I just think that if this is things that we really haven't looked into before, and we have these things all over the place, like in front of like a lot of science museums. I'm pretty sure I've touched some of these before because I think they're wicked awesome. But you look at it and you're like, this is very fascinating. I just look at it, I'm like, groovy. And then we have another article as well. Basically, there was it. Here we go. This is a strong claim. Is from Jacco H. Snolier and Kovan der Wiel. Physics of the Grand Sphere found. A striking example of levitation is encountered in the Kugel fountain, where a grand sphere, sometimes weighing over a ton, is kept aloft by a thin film of flowing water. In this paper, we explain the working principle behind this levitation. We show the fountain can be viewed as a giant ball bearing, and thus forms a prime example of lubrication theory. It is demonstrated how the viscosity and flow rate of the fluid determine remarkably small thickness of the film supporting the sphere, and 2, a surprisingly long time it takes for rotations to damp out. The theoretical results compare well with the measurements on a fountain holding granite sphere of 1 meter in diameter. Close by discussing several related cases of levitation by lubrication. I just find it fascinating because here's the thing. I know some folks have totally seen this in front of museums. Maybe you just kind of thought about it. Yeah, is it something else that maybe it's in front of a science museum? They also have those things that you put your hand on it, like the Boston Museum of Science. You'd be like, whoa, what's that? Like, it's plasma. That's an Earthworm Jim reference. We might not be seeing a remake. I don't know. But yeah, a lot of cool stuff here. And again, it's like you're looking at these, I'm like, all right, it looks like someone kind of drew that by hand. Maybe they used a compass or something like that, but we're able to convey a whole lot of data. It's like, all right, you got this, the very thin film. And of course, the Pauli exclusion principle is helping that thing stay aloft because you can't go that. And as long as it's moving, it's not just going to stop and displace it. So I just find it very fascinating because you kind of have this too. Isn't this how, like, allegedly, I've heard from some people you're supposed to be able to walk on like really hot coals because of the steam. Basically, you put what is this? The Leidenfrost phenomena. Water drop hovering above a hot plate, levitated by its own thin vapor layer. The horizontal diameter of the drop is about 1 centimeter. In the upper part of the photo, we see the pipette from where the drop was released. Image courtesy of Raphael Thevin and Dan Soto. Oh. Yeah, you can see a little bit there. It's got gravity kind of pulling it down. I just think this is some fascinating stuff. And it's one of those things, kind of like Professor Wolfram said. It's like, you're like, oh, well, somebody's done all these calculations and stuff. It's not like, let's just make it smoother. Let's just kind of ad hoc this. And it works really well because we got some great craft folks out there. Apparently, that was something, was it 2014, maybe 2022, one of those articles was from. It's like, didn't really see much else out there and everything. And again, is it relevant for anything other than fountain engineering? No idea. But at least according to Dr. Mingarelli, when she conceptualizes the black hole, she thinks of like a fountain. It's kind of flowing in. It's kind of flowing around itself and everything. And I'm just like, again, I'm just a dude on the internet. But if you happen to have a way to model something, and again, to my best knowledge, according to the Thad's HF8 model, is essentially the interior thing. Those cutouts are just there for visualization. That's a particular location where technically we can't go. I'm not sure I fully agree. We continue, but essentially this will lead to the projection utilizing the asymmetric Clifford torus. You got one really small circle and one ginormous circle. basically, it essentially, once the parameterizations are set up, helicoidally collapses into basically general relativity, or an n hypersphere of maximal volume. I'm like, okay, how big is it? Is it kind of like a ball? Is there a larger area? I've seen some of it. I played around. I don't understand it. Hopefully I'll learn more this month. But yeah, that's all I really got there. Again, just putting these ideas out there into the digital ether, and to remind myself later so I have links and stuff to check back on. But well, these are the things. It's, again, I'm just a crazy person on the internet. So like when I hear people talking about topos and like the infinity groupoid, I'm just like, I mean, my mind just sees something and then it thinks another thing, and then I kind of like do a weighing thing. It's like, is this thing going to promote maybe some better juju out there in the universe, or is it going to take away? Am I going to override this? This is I don't know. It's human algorithm or whatever you want to call it. Some folks call it free will. We're going to go into that in perhaps another future video. But that's all I got for right now. Peace out, everybody. Thanks for coming by again, T-Car. But peace out, be safe. And again, while we're conjecturing, we do not yet
world
know.
Exists on the top of a giant turtle.
Again, that has not been confirmed, Professor. But let's roll out the same way we rolled in. Is the hyperrollia turtles all the way down?
Although this is going to be weird, and it's going to be about a different.
Title of the conference was something like "Ground Truth" or "Turtles All the Way Down," and so it seems as though there's one Ruliad. I don't think it rules them all, and it might be just hyperrulial turtles all the way down.
Yes, it's on the back of an infinite number of hyperrulial turtles.
Various people are commenting on the outrage of hacking the universe on a MacBook Air.
Peace out, everybody.
Have you guys checked out the Memes of Destruction's channel? He's an interesting dude. I like him.